Well, it's a very good morning from him, and of course it's a very good morning from me. I hope you're well. Welcome to my mortgage live stream. Great stuff. 22nd of September. And isn't the autumn approaching quickly? A nice weekend, of course. Nice, good weather. Nice and warm during the day, but cold at night. We're definitely into autumn coming, isn't it? Lots of signs of things happening in the mortgage sector. Obviously, it's season of awards. So everybody's going to their awards dinners and things. And we do those every year, regardless of what kind of market we've had, really, which is a bit ridiculous, really, isn't it? But lots of things happening. Interest rates obviously stayed the same. We knew that. The economy waiting for this budget in November, maybe. But things are moving. Interest rates are settling. Things are moving nicely in the right direction. People are getting busy and bustling. Lots of people becoming mortgage advisors and financial advisors now as well. New CeMAP exams, of course, starting at the end of this month. If you've not started your mortgage exams, your CeMAP, or you've got colleagues in the office that are, there's a whole new suite of exams coming in for CeMAP 1, 2 and 3. Better, might I say. Some vast improvements to what was there before. And good for them at the Walbrook for doing that. And obviously we've got stuff coming in to help you with that as much as possible. What have I got for you today? A couple of topics, one on land registration and one on a way of introducing yourself to your clients, which can get enveloped by compliance, which is good. Of course, it is. Don't get me wrong, but it can overall the impression, and people can get bamboozled with science and documentation. I'll give you a different way of doing it. Anyway, let's start off with land registration, because I want to just update the session for you and give you some new ideas. So let's head over to the whiteboard, shall we? Here we have land registration 2025-26. Not a lot's happened in land registration. It's been pretty much the same since 1990, when it became compulsory to register property. In England and Wales and in Scotland, they have the land register. So very similar to land registry, not a lot of difference really at the end of the day. What is the purpose of land registration? Well, we live in a house here in Cheltenham, and my wife and I, we own this property. We do, and if somebody came along and said, look, it's our property actually, I could say, well, no, it's not, because I've got proof. A bit like, for example, this passport, this UK passport tells people that this is the proof that I am a UK citizen, I think, anyway. It shows that, I'm registered with the UK and I'm a UK citizen. That's the title, if you like. And when we register property at the land registry, it shows that we have title to it. The UK government guarantees that Paul and Jelly own this house, and that's guaranteed by the UK government. So that's pretty much what land registry is. So if you look at it here, so let's put land registration here for you. Land registration is computerized, of course. There's no stack of papers anymore. It's all computerized, and they've got offices all around the UK and Scotland, as well, as I said to you. And you register property at the land registry. That's how it works. Pretty much that. That's it. And the state guarantees the title. And that's important to make a note of that, because we use the phrase title. The state guarantees the title, because they use the phrase title quite a bit. You have title to something, means that you own it. Now, there is actually still quite a lot of unregistered land. There's different numbers saying this, that, and the other. But if land is unregistered, there you go, then it's not obviously registered, and there's no guarantee. And if you do need to register a property that's not registered in the first place, you have to do a 15-year search back to all the title deeds. You have to dig out all the paperwork that goes with that property. And if you've ever seen a packet of title deeds, there's wads of old parchment paper showing who it conveyed to and who owns it, etc. You have to go back 15 years to prove title if you want to register land in the first place. There's still quite a bit of unregistered land, apparently. Land that hasn't changed hands for decades won't be registered. It never used to be compulsory. Since 1990 it became compulsory, didn't it? Anyway, so what happens when your property is registered? Well, if you have a property that's registered, your details, of course, are contained at the land registry. And there's effectively 3 registers, which they still talk about. A little bit old-fashioned way of looking at it, I suppose. 3 registers at the land registry. So let's just put these up here for you on my board so we can get ourselves comfortable with these 3 registers. There you go. Now, the first register has different names for it, really, different things it's called. Sometimes called the property register, sometimes called the title plan. So let's put them both in there for you. So this is the place where the property or the title plan, there you go, is noted. And this is where you have the details of the property. You have a title number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, title number there, and you have the map showing where your property is and what the boundary is and what's contained in the property. There goes my little map there. It's based on Ordnance Survey, and it has like the north on there as well, so you can pretty much quickly find out where you are. And that's pretty much it. It just shows the detail of the property. So let me show you a photograph of what it can look like on a slide here for you. Let's just put that up on the screen so you can see that. This is just taken from the internet, I think, this one. Her Majesty's Land Registry, there we are, proper title for you. And this is title number there, CS887. And this is the property that's in mind here. It's a coal yard, this one. See the border there, the boundary. It shows you where the property is. It's got the north facing there as well. And that's pretty much it. It's Ordnance Survey scale map. And this is quite an easy one to get hold of. You can actually check anybody's title plan on any property, by the way, by paying a few pounds to the Land Registry. There's a few websites that allow you to do that. Here's one that I dug out. This is a website called Land Registry Check. It's nothing to do with the Land Registry, by the way. So they've kind of overlaid their website with the Land Registry. And you can go on there and you can search any property. There's my next door neighbour, for example, if I wanted to check him out, who owns which bit of land, maybe, for example, for 20 quid, I could get the title registered and the title plan. Gives me all, I'll come on to that one, by the way, in a minute for you. But there's the title plan there for you. I think they make a bit of a profit, this company, so you can go directly to the Land Registry if you prefer to do so. I don't think it's as expensive if you go directly to the Land Registry. Problem is, when you key in Land Registry, that particular website comes up top as sponsored. So anyway, that's your property title plan, the first one. The ones that are more interesting to us as mortgage advisors are the last two there for you. The second one is what's known as the charges register. Charges register. And what this part of the Land Registry does is it notes any charges on the property. Now it notes, for example, if there's a first or second charge on the property. So it tells you who the mortgage lender is if there's a first charge. Now we have a mortgage with NatWest Bank, and therefore we have a first charge, and it'll be noted there. If there's a second charge, it'll be noted as well. If you have any other type of charges, like the support for mortgage interest, of course, is now a loan charged against your property. That'll be noted down there. Any spousal interest or family law charge, legal aid charge might be on there as well. So any other types of charges are always going to be on there. A couple of other things you might come across in your studies. If there is an agricultural holdings, agricultural there, charge on the property, that'll be noted in the charges register. This is where the property is only allowed to be sold to people in the agricultural or fisheries trade. We talk about that in our revision guide. Back in the 50s, when the government wanted farms to expand dramatically, who's had a bit of a shock in the Second World War. We had to import more food than we should have done. So they wanted to expand farming. And farming back then needed a few people. So they brought people in, and the farmers were able to build cheap houses on their land for farm workers. But those houses were only allowed to be bought and sold by people who work in the farming industry or fisheries. Now, obviously, time moves on. Those people aren't employed anymore because you've got tractors. And these properties are highly desirable, but they can still only be sold to people in the farming trade, which is interesting. So obviously it restricts the market, restricts the price. That's agricultural holdings. You'll also have a note of any chancel repair liability. Again, we talk about this. This is where the local church, which has the chancellery, which is the main building of the church, which overlooks over the chancellor area of the church. It's the main part, and the other parts of the church are built on it. Anyway, to repair that, they ask people who live around to pay up if it needs to be repairs being done. And you are legally obliged to cough up if the church needs some money to repair the chancellery. And again, any liability is contained in the charges register. So that's something to think about, isn't it? Now, if the property is not registered, as I said to you here, a lot of property is still unregistered. You can look at the charges register, the land charges register. Yeah, let's just put that out for you. The land charges register is a separate thing as well, by the way. So any unregistered land can be checked against the land charges register to see if there's any charges on that land, even if the property isn't registered. So that's a bit of an anomaly, isn't it? Because you can have charges. That's something to think about. Now, the last one for you over here is what's called the proprietorship or the title register. I'm going to call it the title register. Not the title plan, but the title register. Now, this tells you who is involved and what type of title you have. So obviously who owns the property and what kind of title I have. So myself and Shelley own the property as tenants in common, and that will be noted in the title register or the proprietorship register. It will also tell me what type of title I have. Now, we have what's called an absolute title, which means that we absolutely own the property. There's no doubt. There's no issues at all with our title. But you can have issues with title. In other words, you don't own all of it or something. That picture I showed you earlier was quite interesting. Let's put that back up again. Have you noticed anything from that picture that I showed you? Let's put that up there so you can see. This is a commercial area, isn't it? Because you've got coal yards and engineering works, aren't you? But here it says there, the land tinted green hereon is not included in this title. So for some reason, there's a bit of green here where it's not included in the title. I've no idea why, but that would be an issue with the title. It's not clear and precise, is it? Now, whether that title will be described as qualified, I don't know, but there is a qualification built in. Now, qualified title, there you go, is where there's a problem with the title. It's not absolute for a reason. It could be a dispute over some land. Maybe that little bit of land in green is disputed by a neighbour, and therefore there's something going on in the courts or something. So qualified title is not nice, and lenders don't like it. A lender likes absolute title because, of course, they're using that house as security for a very long-term loan, aren't they? You can have possessory title. Possessory title is where you've tried to register the property maybe, but there's no paper deeds to prove it, or they've been burnt or lost or something. So you're given possessory title, like a temporary thing. Then after 12 years, you then it then reverts to absolute title. That makes sense, doesn't it? So you've tried to register, you haven't got deeds to prove it, so you're given possessory title, and 12 years later, if nobody's come out saying it's my property, then you get absolute title as well. There's also a thing called good leasehold, where the lease is perfectly acceptable. That's a thing of the past moving forward, as leasehold starts to be taken away from England and Welsh property ownership as well. It'll give you other things like the price paid for the property, obviously the owner of the property, any adverse possession as well. That's something to put down there. Adverse possession, again, is where there's people who are trying to claim it as theirs. Squatters comes to mind. Squatters' rights come to mind as well. If somebody's trying to claim the property because they've been squatting there for 12 years. And that's just an anomaly, isn't it, as such? So that's land registry, really. Not a lot more to add to it. You've got this unregistered issue here. You're trying to register the property. You've got charges here, which of course are charges on property which is registered. So there's deeds to support it as well. So there's lots of issues going around there with land registration. Hope that's been useful. Bye. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Easy peasy, really, when it comes to it. Quite a lot of information there about land registration. Just to update you again, we're putting these on our boot camps, that's CeMAP 2 boot camp, which of course people can watch and read the videos, watch the videos and read the revision guides and things to understand the terminology and what goes on. So I hope you're all well. Hope you're enjoying yourself, autumn, end of the summer and all those good things. Hope you're busy. If you're becoming a mortgage advisor, I hope you're getting success with your exams and all those things as well. Remember, if we can help you in any way, let us know. Lots going on in our world. Let's now talk about advising and giving advice on mortgages or financial advisor. At some point, you have to introduce yourself. And I want to talk about how you introduce yourself, but do it differently is where I want to go with this. Now, I was working with a protection advisor last week, actually, and we were talking about bringing more emotion into the sales process rather than just numbers, facts, figures and logic. And I asked him, I said, if he had any stories to tell. He had no idea what I talked about. So cleverly, he bounced it back to me. And being a good coach, I like to flex between pushing and pulling. I continue with an example. I said to him, I said, as an advisor myself, I did, yes. I would introduce myself to my clients. Formally, of course. This is for compliance purposes, naturally. But when it came to my value, or my value proposition, or elevator pitch, whatever you want to call it, I would begin by saying something like the following. I help people like you plenty of times. When I started in the 1990s, I met a lovely young couple and I helped them to buy their house. But 6 months after our meeting, her husband died terribly in an accident on the railway shunting yard where he worked. Within a week, I had her mortgage repaid, and we also topped up her income that British Rail pension had paid her. She never had to worry about money again, although she had plenty of other challenges naturally. Now, I want to help you do the same by making sure that you are both protected. So if anything happens to either of you, death, illness, accident, you'll never have to worry about money as you rebuild your life. And this is how we're going to do it. That was my story I used to tell. How about you? Do you have a story or two that you could use to introduce yourself and what you do? Some personal story that illustrates 3 points: what you do, who you help, and what pains you take away from your clients. After all, that's what a value proposition is, isn't it? And woe betide any of you who give your customer your job title and expect this to work. Job titles, my friends, mean nothing to anybody else apart from your payroll department where you work. Great. Good. Okay, so that wraps up our live stream today. Hope you found that useful. We'll catch you again next week. As always, here's my my database for you that you can log on to if you want to be part of our tribe. I love that phrase, don't you? Tribe. So if you want to come onto our list and we email you with things, keep you up to date with loads of stuff that's going on in the marketplace and updates and CPD and all those good things. So hit on that if you wish to, and we'll get you registered using the QR code. Other than that, my friends, have a fantastic week. Enjoy the weather, what's left of it, I think, before the autumn really sets in and the dark nights start to get us. And I'll see you next week. Have fun all, and catch you next week.